Welcome everyone to The Howl. I'm Roman Debicki, and in this episode, I sat down with Tarak and Diana Vergun. In this episode, we focus on getting to know how debate works and introducing people to debate. Thanks for joining, and we hope you enjoy. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Howl. My name is Roman Debicki, and the producer of today's show is Ryan Antonucci. And we are very excited to have Tarak Shaw and Diana Vergun here in the Dispatch Podcast studio, powered by Jets Pizza. So, hi guys, how are you all doing today? We talked a little on the way here, but how are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm good. And you, Diana?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Excited to get started with this.
Great to hear. Okay, so first, some getting to know us kind of stuff. I'm a senior, and I've been doing media, like Ryan said earlier, for about 4 years. It's a half semester kind of thing, so I did it one semester my freshman year, and then I did it both semesters ever since. So what school year are you guys in, and how long have you been on the debate team?
I'm a junior, and I've been on debate since freshman year.
Same thing. I'm a junior since freshman year on debate.
Very cool. Okay. So was there any club like debate or a team on in your junior highs that led you down this path, or how did you really want to join debate?
I mean, I really knew about it just people talking about it before, but there was nothing in middle school.
Yeah, similar thing. Nothing really in middle school about it. I just had a friend who knew about it, and she kind of pushed me into it.
Dude, that's perfect. Okay. So that kind of gets me into my next question about were you recruited by a friend or a teacher? Is your friend in debate?
No, she actually moved away in 8th grade.
Oh, I see. That's funny. And then you just joined just because you heard about it?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we're going to get into more of the nitty-gritty stuff. How does the roster of the official team work? Are there tryouts, and if so, are there cuts, or does everybody really make it?
So really how it works is as you first come onto the team, you can compete in the JV division, and anyone can move up after JV. So if you're really good on your first JV tournament, you go straight to varsity. And since we're usually a small team, anyone can compete. So once you do good on your first JV, you're in varsity, and then basically anyone can just compete. So there's no cuts, there's no tryouts, something like that.
Okay. What do you mean by doing good? Is it a certain point score?
Yeah, so each speech that you give at these debate tournaments are scored from a 1 through 6, and then based on the amount of speeches you give during the tournament, you calculate your speech average. So if you have these really high speech averages, you move up right away, but mostly it's just on experience. So as soon as you get a couple tournaments that you already know and how you know how it works, then you just go right back into the higher stuff.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, so don't make fun of me. I don't know debate so well, so kind of walk me through some of the details. I'm going to ask you a few questions here. So is this a 1 versus 1 kind of thing, or is there a group?
It's more of a group. So whenever you get to a tournament, there is a lot of schools there. But normally you get into a chamber, and there's between 12 to 18 people in there normally. And it's more of a group activity almost, where because normally you go up and you give a speech, and 2 people stand up to question you afterward. So there's always a group in there that's kind of competing. Everyone's competing to be the best in the chamber, in the room. So out of those 12 to 18 people, you're trying to be number 1.
Okay, so this chamber is a room, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So when these people get up to ask you these questions, are they purposely trying to stump you with these questions?
Yes.
Okay. That's kind of intimidating. I wouldn't be very happy about that one. Some of my classes, you give a presentation or something, and somebody asks a courteous question in order for you to get a couple points or something. But if they're actually trying to stump you, that makes things a lot harder. What are your guys' experience with those different kinds of questions?
I mean, I like it because sometimes when other people go up, it's your chance to show why their argument is wrong. Because you are competing, but you're also competing for your side. So for each bill, there's a pro side and the con side. And so when you go up for your side, you want to show to judges and to the room why you're right and why the other side's wrong. And the question kind of gives you a chance to respond. Because when people give up and give speeches, they can really say whatever they want, and that's your chance to really correct them and show why they are wrong.
Yeah, so kind of like you're saying, it is tough when you get stumped, but questions also have an opportunity to both, like Tarak was saying, prove the other side wrong, and also to prove your own knowledge of the topic, because your speech is only 3 minutes. You only have 3 minutes to talk. You can't discuss everything about the topic, but if someone asks you, you can elaborate and show that you know what you're talking about.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's kind of an opportunity to further your knowledge, prove, like you said, since you're only 3 minutes, but then also, like you said, just in case you get stumped or something. Okay. Okay, do you guys get to choose what you want to debate, or does it change meet to meet?
So kind of how it works is we get 9 kind of bills, or what are they called? So like we do a type of debate called legislation debate or Congress debate. There's different types of debate, but how this works is we act like we're Congress. So like our room is like the House of Representatives, and we have 9 different bills. So like we pass this bill to change something about the entire country. So when we go into every debate tournament, we have 9 different bills, and those are chosen by the students at the schools. So like a couple weeks before the tournament, we would submit like a bill idea, and then like the coaches of all the schools vote on the 9 best.
Okay, that's interesting. So you said that you submit a bill idea.
Yeah.
So does everybody in like your debate like room get to submit one, and then they vote on the
Well,
best one?
so this is like while you're at practice. So like a couple weeks before the tournament, each school gets to submit one bill. So like they usually like as a school you decide on it, and then there's like 20, 30 schools. So they pick like the 9 best ideas and they put them in, and basically like when you submit a bill for your school, you get to put your name underneath. So like if I submitted it, it might have my name underneath, and I'd be called like the author of the bill since I wrote it. So when I go to these tournaments, the normal speeches are 3 minutes, but if you're the author, you get 4 minutes. So you really get to like expand and really show that your knowledge of it, and it's kind of an advantage points wise if you're able to talk more. So that's why people like being an author on a bill.
Do you guys have any like examples of like any of these bills, like off the top of your
Yeah,
head?
so we have a tournament on Saturday, and the bill idea that I'm working on right now, it's one where it's about drugs, and instead of people getting caught with drug possession going to jail, they'd actually go to rehabilitation therapy. So work more on their like just getting away from the drugs versus actually more punishing them for the crime.
Okay, that's actually really interesting. Okay. How many meets do you guys usually have in a season? Are these like called meets, or am I like misusing a word, or is it like tournaments?
We call them tournaments.
Okay.
There usually is one every month from September to February. We had IHSA last year, but they got rid of it this year, so we're not sure what we're going to do about March.
That's really unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, I lost my place. Okay, so we kind of talked about the prompt and scenario. Okay, so you guys stated that it's one person at a time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then is everybody in your school in that room?
No, so each room, it's like you have different people from different schools. So like since we're a smaller team, each one of us will be in a different room. But sometimes schools like Fremd or Stevenson that are bigger double up. But most of the time there's one person from each school in the room. But sometimes some of the bigger schools will get 2.
Okay. So like we discussed, it's 1% at a time, and you get to watch your opponents speak, correct?
Yep.
So then what's your thought process when you're like watching your opponent speak?
So normally when you hear someone speaking, you're typically analyzing what they're saying, writing down questions, because as soon as they're done, the presiding officer or the person leading the chamber will call on 2 people to ask questions, and you want to stand up to be called on. You want to ask a lot of questions because that helps you stand out in the eyes of the judge, and that helps you really look stronger as a debater. So a lot of the time when you hear people speak, you're writing down questions, and if they're on the opposite side, you're adding notes to your speech, because when you speak, you want to refute. You want to say, this representative said this is a great idea. It's actually not because of this and this. So you're just taking note of what they're saying and how you can use it.
Okay, so can you score points off of asking questions, or is it just when you're speaking?
So there's 2 type of point scoring. One is based on your speech, and then there's a score called ethos. Those are up to 3, and basically a judge will score we have 3 different like chambers that we call it. So like 2.5 hours, and we take like a 45-minute break because they're kind of long. So we have like 3 of those type of sessions, and after each session they'll score you from a 1 to 3 based on your participation and your behavior. So if like you're like on your phone the entire time and you're not really asking questions, they'll give you like a 1. But if you're like really involved in the chamber, then they give you a 3. And the points don't go to your speaking average, but they do help the team in the team pointal.
Okay. So then kind of sticking with the questions.
Yep.
When you said that when you stand up, is it like completely random upon who they call upon, or is it like first question,
So at the start of the session, it's completely random. The presiding officer or PO just calls on people randomly. But as you get later into the session, more people have asked questions, so they base it off of number. So if I stand up and someone else stands up, and I've asked 2 questions and they ask none, they get the question. So it's kind of trying to evenly distribute it. So as long as you participate, you will get to ask questions.
Okay, that's a good system. Okay, so with the points, is there like a specific target value that you want to reach, or is it just like completely timed? Like, is it a timed game like basketball, or is it like to like a point number like volleyball?
So kind of how it works is like you get your speeches, and on average you give probably 4 to 5 speeches the entire tournament, and like 1 to 2 per chamber. And what you normally do is they'll calculate that by average, so they just divide it by the number of speeches you have, and then they compare that to everyone else. So like you're just like, okay, if my average was this like 5 on a 6 scale, and someone else was a 4.5, I'd be ranked higher than them. And then like the top 3, like the top speaking averages in like the chamber are the ones that are like that do better.
Okay. So with those chambers, are there like eliminations? Like since you have 3 chambers, then are the top speakers of each chamber, do they like go into something else, or is it just like how is that decided?
It's the same. You're with the same people for the entire day. It's mostly just 3 sessions so that we actually have breaks between each
okay.
one for like lunch or to prep speeches. But you're with the exact same people for the entire day. It's just the judges change each session.
Okay. So I'm a volleyball player myself. I'm sure as you can tell by my sweatshirt. But do you guys get like an adrenaline rush? I know like when I'm on the court and like you're anticipating the game, or like when you're next up in order to speak. I'm assuming, is there like an order that you guys predetermined, or is that also random?
So your speech order is like randomized, but then once you have an order, so like after like the 10 people are called on and they're already given a speech, then you go by that order for the rest of that chamber. And for me personally, there's not much an adrenaline rush because it's just more of a normal thing that I do. But yeah.
Same with you.
I mean, I do get a bit of an adrenaline rush for the first speech because it's the first one of the day. You want to make sure it goes well. But after that, you kind of settle into the rhythm of it, and it's just more of a normal thing.
Okay. Do you guys have any like can you guys share like a cool story or like a cool experience that happened to you when you were in this kind of debate system, when you guys maybe like got butterflies, or like somebody tried to stump you with a question and you weren't quite sure? Do you guys have anything like that?
I mean, I've had people who have questioned like the legitimacy of my evidence at some point. Like I had a source that predicted something from 2021, and someone was asking me, hey, if this has already started happening, what are the results of it? And I didn't have that evidence on me. So I had to figure out how to get out of that and still make it seem like I wasn't avoiding the question. So that was a bit difficult, but I had that same person this year and I was able to answer all their questions, so that felt pretty good.
That's good. I kind of want to touch on that. The evidence. When you guys get your bills, are you able to research them? And then like, how do you kind of formulate that?
We usually get our bills a month before the tournaments, like really right the day after, because our tournament's on Saturday, so we come to practice on Monday. We get our bills, and what we do is we assign usually one person on the team to do each one, and we try to do 6 pieces of evidence, so like statistical evidence or evidence from sources, and we put them on this document. So we found 6 for the pro and then 6 for the con, and then each person has one responsibility to do that for each bill, and then we can use that throughout when we prep speeches before the tournament and when we prep speeches during the tournament.
Okay. So can that be like any evidence? Like you just like, you can like just look it up on your iPad?
So the main requirements, it's got to be recent. It's got to be like relevant to the topic. It's got to be like usually from a strong source. If you say like a random blog, no one will really take you seriously, and it just really has to support what your claim is. And if it doesn't, the judges will notice that.
Okay. So how recent does it have to be? Because you said like 2021 and 2021 was or 2020, 2021 was your source.
Right.
So is it like 5 years maybe, or like how recent does the source have to be? Do you guys know exactly?
There's no exact like date that it has to be, but usually you want to stay within like 5-6 years. It really depends on the topic. Some of them require more recent sources depending on the issue at hand, but generally you want to aim for 5-6 years, because if you get back to like 2010 or like early 2000s, then people can really question, hey, it's been like 15 years since then, is this still relevant to this argument?
Okay, that makes sense. So you guys said that you guys have a big tournament, or not a big tournament, you guys have a tournament this Saturday. Are there any like big or major tournaments in like your regular season that you guys are excited for?
So we normally have like 4 or 5 regular seasons, and then we have like a thing called so our organization is called the ICDA, and we have an ICDA state tournament, and that one it's like worth more, right, because it's a state, so you get like a state medal or a state trophy, and that's after our 5 tournaments. And then we normally had an IHSA state where we not only see like people, because the ICDA is more northwest suburbs, but IHSA would get people from all around Illinois, but they got canceled that because of low participation, so we only have ICDA state this year.
Okay. So what makes it like a big tournament? Is it like a whole bunch of schools and just because it's like a state kind of thing and like the trophies?
Yeah, I mean, it's just more schools. You get to go stay at ISU for a couple days, so that's a fun experience. And it's elimination. So instead of having just with the people you normally are, like your score will get you past the first round, score can get you in the second round and then to the finals. And then you can be like an official IHSA state championship.
Well, yeah, that's IHSA. ICDA state is more like a regular tournament, but there is this thing called the Tournament of Champions there, where they take the top 60 debaters based on nominations, and those come from your judges. Your judge every single session will choose 2 people to nominate. So whoever has the top 60 people with the most nominations throughout the season get put into the Tournament of Champions, where it's the best of the best. You do 2 sessions there, and then you get eliminated, and there's one session, or one chamber, one room, of like the top 18 speakers in ICDA at the end.
Okay. Have you guys ever been nominated for one of those things?
Yeah. So last year I competed in ICDA state and I was able to win the ICDA state, and that was just a fun experience.
Oh wow! Congratulations.
Thanks. You get like a medal, and you just get like the praise that comes with it. So that was nice.
You said you also got nominated, right?
Yeah, I was in Tournament of Champions last year. I believe Tarak was in it freshman year. Last year it was funny because none of us in the Tournament of Champions made it to the finals, but we got second overall as a school in it. So we still performed pretty well in it.
Oh, well, congratulations, guys. Okay, so as a freshman, you won it, or was that your
So
sophomore?
I was competed in the tournament championship, and then sophomore year I was able to win state.
So for state,
Mhm.
I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. So for state, like, is that winning as a sophomore? Is that like impressive, or is there like all around? Is there like
I mean, it is impressive, but like their debate is not more of like an age thing. It's more of just like how good you are. Because like even when you go to sports, like over time you get better at the sport, and like more playing it is more experience. But at a certain point, experience isn't what really matters. It's just once you learn how to do it, it's something that you just practice and you're just good at it. So experience isn't as big as a factor in sport like volleyball.
okay? Okay, not to brag or anything, but I'm currently taking speech right now, and I'm learning a thing or two, right? So my teacher, Mr. Manthe, he has a big thing about like nonverbal speaking, and I'm usually graded pretty well in that. But what I do is like I shift from side to side, and I get points taken off for that. Is that like is that like a thing you guys need to practice or anything?
Yeah, so when you're giving a speech, there is a certain like walking pattern you're supposed to do. Like you're supposed to start at one spot and then walk to your first point, walk to your second, walk to your third to give that transition. If you are swaying, if you are shifting like you mentioned, judges will notice that. Judges will tell you about that. For example, I get a lot of comments about like gestures, that I have too many gestures. So they definitely notice all the nonverbal cues that you're giving off.
And touching on, like you said, you were in speech class, like one of the big things is what separates like debate, because obviously people hear speech and debate, and a lot of people think it's similar. So I think the main difference, like, so what our judges like to say before tournaments, remember, this is debate, not speech. And that's really what's important in grading, because when you give speech, it's just more you give your speech, you give your information, and how debate's a little bit different is you clash with the people inside of your chamber. Like, you refute them, you get questioned, and it's more like a more like lively debate that's like involved with the people around you.
Like it's like ongoing because you debate multiple times upon the same topic.
Yeah, because like people will give multiple speeches. So like we usually have 8 different people speak on each bill.
So you have to so one person says something, then the other person kind of counteracts that, and it's like a clash. Okay, I understand. So what you said is that you guys actually have to walk. So in my speech class, of course, nothing like what you guys do. We have to stand at a podium, but with debate, you have to walk back and forth.
You walk. So you start at one point to do your intro. You stand there. You walk to your first point, and stand there for the entirety of the first point. Then walk to a second and stand. Then walk to a third and stand. You're not taking like a ton of steps. It's usually like 1 or 2 steps at a time. But it's just a visual cue of, hey, I'm moving on to a new idea.
Okay, that's actually really interesting. I wasn't expecting that. And I'm assuming there's no like presentation behind you. It's just like what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's just like an open space, and you're free to walk. So like if you want to walk a different way than just like everyone kind of has their different way of walking, and it's just how you use that effectively. So it's just another like advantage you have, like the space given, and you just got to use that effectively.
Okay, so this is kind of wrapping up here, I just have like a couple more questions. Are there any like big powerhouse schools or any like household names like within Illinois that you guys like know?
Well, so some of the bigger schools, like size really matters in debate because you can win individual awards, and that's where like our school specializes because we have some really good debaters. But team awards, it's really just the amount of people you have really helps you in those team awards. And so we see the schools that have just a lot of students, like Fremd and Stevenson, are the ones that have these that always win the awards, and you see like regularly winning them.
Okay. Okay. So those are like the big schools, but are there like any specific students like from Fremd or Stevenson that you guys know they're like notorious for like winning everything or?
I mean, so normally just like the captains from each school, like there's probably like 18 or 19 of us, and usually those are the ones that you can count on to get a top 3 usually at every tournament.
Okay, so you guys are both co-captains, correct? Kind of touching on the captains. Are you guys voted upon by like the team, or is that what is it?
So I think it's mostly just based on what the coaches see and also what the past captain tells the coaches.
Okay, that's interesting. Are there usually co-captains, or is it usually just like one captain? Per
I mean, it really depends on the year. Like if the year where there's really only one strong person, then there's one captain. But this year we were obviously both strong debaters, so they made us both co-captains.
All right, well, great, guys. Thank you for kind of, telling me about this. This was really interesting. I wasn't really sure how this was going to go, and I'm really happy how it turned out. And you guys really taught me a lot about debate. Okay, well, that's it for our show. Thanks to Tarak Shaw and Diana Vergun, and thanks to our viewers for tuning in. Also, a thanks to our sponsor, Jets Pizza, right over there on Rand Road. That will do for this episode. I'm Roman Debicki, and on behalf of Ryan Antonucci, thanks again, and see you on the next episode. Thank you, guys.